All right, here we go. This one is for you, Capricorn. This is Tarot Illumination. That's you over here. This is your general mini report, broad spectrum journey type of perspective. We're using a beating heart spread, and this is for November 2018. Okay, so cards are well shuffled in advance, but I like to go to the last second so that you're a witness. And before we actually get into the cards, we're going to spend a few moments with Tarot Illumination Astro Doodles to get a bit of extra perspective, sort of like a side dish. Okay? So you know the routine if you've done this before. Check for your sun, moon, and rising reports, especially if they're all different. You know, different sun, different moon, different rising. And then reinterpret everything to create a story that works for you overall. Okay? That's how a lot of people do it, and it seems to work. All right, so this is a month of change. Big shift, big changes. A couple of things for you, Capricorn. Let's just go through the dates first, the basic dates. First of all, right at the very beginning of the month, we have a massive grand Earth trine. It's very fleeting. It's with Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus. So it's very cozy for you, very supportive. A nice start for the month between Saturn, Moon, and Uranus, okay? So just take advantage of that, please. Be aware of how lucky you are, Capricorn, okay? And moving on, November 7th, we have the new moon in Scorpio. Let's do it on here. Okay. Let's do it like this. Okay, November 7th, we have the new moon in Scorpio. That's right over here in your 11th house. New starts, new beginnings in your community, your sense of hopes, dreams, and wishes for life and what works with the world. Quite a lot of selflessness where the energy of the ego is sublimated to favor the group. So new starts and new beginnings there. What is happening with you? What's going to happen in that part of your life, in your world? Also, rewards for relationships. Perhaps you've been doing something very creative and effective over here in your 5th house, and you're getting the benefits over here. We'll see, okay? Next, the next big thing is a lot is happening early in the month. Uranus is going retrograde into Aries for over 3 months, okay? Over here, Uranus goes retrograde into Aries, back into your 4th house. So you might get a feeling of action, replay, rewinds of a lot of very stressful stuff that happened over the last 7 years or so regarding the foundations of your life, your home, your family, the actual structure, foundations of your earth, where you sleep, you know, where you have your meals, where you have your friends and family, okay? And then it'll eventually get back into Taurus, which will be more soothing for you. It'll still be challenging because it's entering your 5th house of true love, but anyway, it'll be out of the foundations here. Next, this is kind of esoteric. We'll have to do reports on this or something. It's a big deal for Tarot Illumination, but I'm not going to talk about it much here. The North Node moves into Cancer for the new global collective journey. Now, that means that the South Node is going to be amplified, okay, as well, because over the next year, starting really now, November 7th, you're starting to get a glimpse of this. Actually, we had an eclipse earlier. I think it was, when was it? Anyway, a few months ago, the very first one. But this axis here of relationship, one-on-one, there's you, Capricorn, there's a significant other. This axis is going to be really amplified in 2019. And you're going to start to get a glimpse of it soon because the North Node is moving out of Leo into Cancer. This is an 18-month journey here, okay? So start getting used to it, all right? The next thing, we've still got Saturn and Pluto living in your sign. So you might be going through massive, slow, uncomfortable, awkward reformatting, where you might feel that there's a lot of pressure to change, become a new person, some way, somehow. And it might be difficult because the Saturn's there and Pluto's there. Pluto doesn't mess around. It destroys everything in its path that's not tied down or that has no value anymore. Saturn is like the reality check police. That's your sign. So please allow, this is long-term stuff. So this little report here is very much a hint of what is to come. The next big thing is around the 10th, okay? November 10th, Jupiter goes into Sagittarius over here, into your 12th house. And this is a year-long journey. So in a way, it's kind of beneficial because the Jupiter is the great benefic, the planet of healing and joy and benevolence. And to have that through your 12th house could be a blessing because the 12th house can often be very hard energy to handle because it's the place of self-undoing and it's our spiritual dumpster. Very hard energy to understand and handle for a lot of people. And Sagittarius in general represents your 12th house, where it's all about disconnecting and healing and so on. Mercury goes retrograde on the 17th. Venus goes direct on the 17th. Kind of quirky there. November 22nd, Sun moves into Sagittarius over here. So a lot of emphasis on your 12th house, a lot of emphasis on your 11th house. Okay. November 23rd, we got the full moon, Sun in Sagittarius, moon in Gemini over here. So I have a feeling there's going to be a strong emphasis on health. Got to reveal it to heal it. And it might be uncomfortable, okay? A lot of people don't like to reveal what needs to be healed. Let's just be honest. So let's leave it like that for now. I'll just put this up here and I'll hold it still just for a few moments in case you need to do a rewind action replay. So I'll hold it still. 2, 3. Okay, that's enough. All right, here we go. So let's do the reading itself. Thank you for your patience. That was a very long intro, pardon me. Cards are well shuffled in advance. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Not enough time, not enough room. Okay, so let's go for it. Bring your invisible friends, please, dear Capricorn. Let's make the most of this. That's what we do here at Tarot Lumination. No, nothing to apologize for. It sounds kind of corny, romantic, and silly, but please ask your angels to join you. They love to be invited. Over here is the core heart of you. The heart needs what it needs. It wants what it wants. It's the pulsing core center. You might have everything else going really well, but if this is out of whack, everything else is compromised. What the heart wants is most of all for it to be fully aligned between itself and yourself, your conscious self being fully aligned and working from the heart. Okay, so what are you bringing in with you? What kind of legacy are you carrying here? Are you wiped out? Are you overjoyed? Are you enlightened? What is it? What's going on? What's in your pockets? What's in your briefcase? Over here, the ever-present now. A lot of people don't like this energy because it means you have to be fully grounded, present, conscious, and here. Okay, no dwelling on the past, no projecting to the future, just what is happening right now. And it is in the now where you have your power, because then you just deal with it like a business person. Like, okay, let's have a meeting. What is going on, people? Where are the problems? Let's fix them. Where are the good things? Let's optimize them. Okay, I'm trying to sound like a Capricorn. Anyway, it's in the now where you execute your power to love thyself first and foremost, the most loving thing, important thing you can do through conscious decision making. Okay, so what does that energy look like? And how does this work in such a way that it actually is effective? How do we get this to work so that it's like a formula? So you're not living on autopilot and just thinking that life is just one fated big trick. Okay, over here, in so doing, when we operate fully consciously like this, you generate consequences instead of living subconsciously, unconsciously, and just letting so-called fate happen. Yes, you could say fate happens, but you're making the best of it here. Over here, what happens if you mess up and you just say this is just this is ludicrous stuff? I figure it out. I'm a smart Capricorn. I'll figure it out. I don't need any of this. Okay, you're limiting yourself. What happens if you grab this, understand this, work with this, and go beyond the veil and use this energy, these concepts to work for you? Love thyself deliberately. Align yourself with your heart. What does that look like? Okay. Over here, so in other words, it's the same energy. One is the inverse of the other. Prospects and momentum, okay, to the next beat. The heart is always pumping out waste and pumping in nutrients, okay? Over here, circumstantial energy, the weather, and you have the 5 of Cups. So my feeling is, though, that right now, it might be kind of a bumpy landing as things wind up after long, stressful journeys. Through a lot of very challenging aspects. Quite a few months ago, it was very, very tough on Capricorns and some Cancerians as well. And it's still tough on you guys, Capricorn, because you've got the Saturn-Pluto thing. That's not going away anytime soon. Please, please uh, shore up your life. Think long term and allow for things to intensify inside of you as an individual. It's going to be irreversible change that's happening to you. And as you go through that, you might feel you're surrounded, uh, perhaps almost like a mirror, where you're surrounded by everything that you've lost, a sense of grieving here, and not focusing so much on what you have, but it's still there. Uh, the thing is that in order to evolve and move on, we have to allow the grievings in our lives to flow, whatever they might be, so that we can release and let go. It's almost like bury the dead and then move on. It's sort of tragic energy if you're surrounded by it, let's say Capricorn, because you can often be so strong that other people lean on you. And even though you might be the one who would like to lean on others sometimes, you often end up being that person. And sometimes it's just too much. You can't carry everybody's load, everybody's misery, everybody's problems. And sometimes you need TLC yourself. And it would be very appropriate for you with this card here to grieve for yourself, grieve for loss of self in case you've been giving away too much or accommodating others too much. That's what I'm sensing here. Okay, Capricorn? Let's have a look. All right, so at the heart core center we have, okay, with the Seven of Swords here, my feeling is that it's almost like the heart feels as though it's being forced to take evasive action, being forced to have to be, let's say, very compromising in order to survive. And the heart doesn't like to be this way, doesn't want to be this way. The heart wants to be pumping, radiant, glowing, fit and happy. And then when circumstances amount to so much pressure that the heart itself is compromised and feels compromised, it's almost like for example, if you're one of those people who, over medicates or self medicates to get through, like let's say you're a workaholic or a career holic, or you've got a lot of responsibilities and you have your double espresso in the morning and then another one in the afternoon to get through, and then at night you have to take something to unwind. And it might be effective and productive. Maybe you're succeeding and doing well in all sorts of things in the Capricorn way. But deep down, I see a lot of pain here, Capricorn. And I don't see how you can function with that permanently. And sometimes, we can lock ourselves in, like with this, okay, with this Capricorn energy over here, okay? This could feel extremely uncomfortable, okay? It's not going away anytime soon. And with the eclipses coming up, 2019, you might already be getting a glimpse of it. So let's have a look. Let's keep going. I don't want to paint doom and gloom here. Your heart will get by, but it's almost like, it's almost like you're cheating your heart. And when it's that heavily compromised, the heart can only do so much for you. If you are even to the point of abusing your heart, let's say you have a really good constitution and you can handle strong jolts of energy drinks and coffees, and you can take powerful meds, or you do these like self-healing things to unwind and keep going and carry the Capricorn mantle of success and stability, there's something out of whack here where it's like the heart is saying, I can't take it anymore. I'm struggling to get by. I'm close to like wigging out here, and I need to be understood. I'm just basically getting away with what I can to keep going, and that's not ideal. Okay, I'm just letting you know. All right, what are you bringing in with you, Capricorn? Okay, well, with the Knight of Pentacles here, my feeling is that, like, as your conscious self, maybe you've done everything and anything you can to invest wisely, to keep things going. It's just that you might have, with the, gosh, I keep coming back to this, with this Plutonic energy here and the Saturn energy here, it's so much pressure. If you've been, trying to honor the classic Capricorn self, but in so doing, bringing harm to yourself and to your heart, unwittingly, even when you're coming in with the best of intentions, and your legacy is appreciated by others, where others can see you as like, wow, I don't know how you do it, Capricorn, how you keep delivering, how you maintain that stability and structure, and you're doing it, but it looks to me like you're doing it at great self-sacrifice, almost to the point of martyrdom, which is not healthy. Okay, so let's have a look. What about the ever-present now? Okay, my feeling here is that it sounds very weird. It's almost like vanity, but to me, it feels like you're really glad that you're reading this report, seeing this, watching this, and seeing that you do have a chance for restarts and new beginnings in some parts of your life, and that's appropriate. And I think this is very much to do with the Scorpio new moon up here. And you could start to see like, well, what am I supposed to be doing on Earth, like with my community, my people, my hopes, dreams, and wishes? I deserve a break myself. I deserve a fresh start. What's wrong with that? I'm glad you're telling this to me, Terra Illumination, because this is miserable and uncomfortable, and I'm surrounded by this. You might be surrounded by joy in such a way that satisfies the Capricorn three-dimensional, let's say, checking the boxes or whatever it's called. But deep down inside, there's something out of whack here, Capricorn, that needs to be acknowledged. And I think it's to do with the healing to come, the chance to be courageous, bold, and step into, it's almost like admitting, like, you know what they did like in Alcoholics Anonymous or something, or for kids who are really struggling with school and college, and they're trying everything that they can and to oblige and honor the system or their careers or their jobs. Sometimes it's okay to put up a hand and say, you know what, uh, I can't take it anymore. I need to check in. Maybe you need to check into rehab. Maybe you need to check in with some kind of new starts and new beginnings. I'm seeing this very much associated with the energy over here, taking full advantage of the Jupiter and Sagittarius energies to uh, focus deliberately on healing, on self-healing, and new starts, new opportunities, and reconfiguring your life in such a way that you love yourself first. And it might be very contradictory to the way you've been living right now. How do we do this effectively? Not how we do. What's the decision-making energy like here? In the now, you see what the thing is with the Ace of Wands here, it's almost like this is a great card to have here because it's very focused in the now. Ace of Wands wouldn't be here unless you deserved it. So if you needed someone like Terra Illumination to tell you, hey, listen, man, it's okay. Hey, listen, woman, hey, person, Capricorn, it's okay to raise a hand and tap out, check out, and say, you know what? I feel a calling from within. I need to face the grief and sorrow around me. I need to live and let live. I can't put myself under so much pressure anymore. I've already done the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. I need a break now. I need to award myself a break. Forget about the past, forget about the future. It's almost like going into a convalescent home type of energy here and seeing that as a tremendous opportunity. I know it sounds weird because Capricorns, you like to be out there in the world succeeding, okay? So in terms of, making the decision to do something like this and heal thyself, what does that look like? Okay, let's say you do some kind of like self-enforced withdrawal from the big bad world, and you start working on yourself. You realize that, oh my gosh, I really need to do some homework on myself. I can't just be the Capricorn leader in charge and the go-to person for all of this. If you're surrounded by reflections of grief from yourself, or you're seeing that in others in your world around you, you can't let that overwhelm you. It's a sign to it's okay, check out. So when you're making a decision to love thyself, it's a very responsible decision, which means having to understand that it's homework. It's like what they do in convalescent homes or rehab centers or something, where it is a work, it's a program. It's deep, deep work of self-love, how to go much deeper than you're used to in order to prevail. And so you go back, you go through an evaluation, and perhaps, let's say you had a tarot reading from Terra Illumination, and TL says, like, you know what? We got to face this, and this issue over here, 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 with all this green, these weeds and so on. And you've got the gifts and talents, but it's like you're on your you got to do your own cleanup campaign. It's like we got to do the rehab, the cleanup thing, like they do in AA. So we start from the basics. Well, look at how good you are, how strong you are, how talented you are. Look at how obscured things have become, even with your best of intentions. And then we define this. That becomes the work. These are the decisions. So the decision to love thyself, knowing that it's going to be work. It's probably going to be some kind of rehab thing, long term. So how do we do this effectively? Okay. We realize that we will prevail. Okay. You will prevail. It might not be comfortable doing any of this or having to check out or admit that you've already done the best that you can. You're already doing the best that you can, but you can't take it anymore. Your heart doesn't want to take that anymore. The heart is like having to cheat itself. And it's almost like you're putting pressure on the heart, like getting palpitations or anything, something like that, where it's borderline unhealthy. In fact, not borderline, you've actually crossed a line where it's almost like you're doing damage to your own heart. And that's just the opposite of self-love, okay? So my feeling here is knowing that as a Capricorn, you will prevail against all odds. It's just that, you know, like in these cycles, you know, the Sagittarius energy would be like the 12th house energy anyway for Capricorns. And for a lot of people, when they go through that 12th house chapter of the year, like if you think of this as a year-long journey and you've got to this part, this is the part where everything falls apart and collapses, where you do need to go into rehab. And that's probably one of the most uncomfortable parts of the year for a lot of Capricorns, is coming into the Sagittarius season. But then you bounce back when the sun comes back into Capricorn, okay? But that's next month, okay? So for now, please allow that you might feel uncomfortable, okay? Let's just get it out there and say it. I'm not going to unsay it, but because you, Capricorn, are so used to doing what has to be done in order to succeed and prevail, that's what will happen. But it does require a deliberate decision to pull back away from the battlefronts of life and instead take care of yourself deliberately. Like everyone looks at you and says, Capricorn, huh? What are you doing? You're checking out, you're taking a vacation, you're taking a holiday, you're going into rehab, you're doing self-healing stuff, new starts, new beginnings, so that you can be this new person in the world. And then you say, yep, that's the new program for Capricorn, and we'll be back. Don't worry. But for right now, I'm going to jump on board with this stuff Tarot Lumination's talking about. Let's have a look. So doing, we generate consequences. Instead of living by fate unconsciously, this is very conscious, and it's an uncomfortable consciousness, but we're going to deal with it and create consequences, okay? So you can get back in charge, so you can be the boss of you. You don't end up having to be a victim of surroundings or other people's misery or other people's incompetence and the failings and the sorrows and the tragedies of the world around you. Just focus on you. Love thyself. Make yourself the most amazing person that you can be. Unwavering in your self-love. Unwavering in your dedication to self and putting the self first, okay? No shame, no apologies for any of that, okay? Even if it includes having to check out and say, you know what, bye everybody, I'm closing the office for a while, gotta go. It's okay, I still love you guys, okay? But I got issues and it's not your problem, it's not your business. I gotta take care of myself now, okay? I am number one. And I encourage you all to be number one for yourselves too. Okay. So what happens if you mess up and you decide this is just too much work? I'm already awesome as I am. I'm just going to keep with my existing program and drive myself into the ground and into oblivion. What happens is you're basically knocking yourself on the head. You're creating more and more problems for yourself. You're basically driving yourself into a hole here. With the Hangman, what I see is that when you do this effectively and basically say, you know what, it's okay. Even though I'm a Capricorn, I need TLC. I need to take care of myself now and again. I'm not built to carry the whole world, even though sometimes I often have to. So when you do this and you award yourself new starts and new beginnings, new drives to uh, basically love thyself first, it might feel disorienting for you because you might have been so used to kind of being the boss in a driver's seat in sort of life. But to do just the opposite might feel very, very weird. Like it's like you're deliberately pulling yourself out of classic Capricorn modalities and putting yourself into much more of a Piscean type self-healing, gentle, retreated, convalescent type of phase. In other words, you might feel very weird. Like if you see this as a program, a self-healing program, a self-evolving improvement, self-improvement program, it might feel very weird, but it's deliberate. You know it's happening. You know it's going to happen. It's by deliberate choice. Nobody wants to have to go through all these self-healing programs. Most people just want to be feeling amazing all the time. So when you engage in something like this, like a deliberate act of self-healing, then it might feel weird. It just might feel weird. Just like if you've never done rehab before, or you've never gone to counseling before, it might feel very, very strange. But you're still doing yourself a favor, okay, and everybody else. Consequently, star, wow. I think what happens here is that you open yourself to like new fates, new destinies, new journeys unfolding in front of you, where you get these new perceptions, these like uh, huge light bulb moments where you start to see things much from a much broader perspective, like the Jupiter broad spectrum perspective, where you can climb out of the miseries of the world, the mud of the world, all the stress and anxieties and the chicanery and trickery of this planet, and treat yourself to a very radical new self-healing program, the willingness to do the work, knowing that you will prevail, and knowing it's going to be weird and disorienting, knowing that you're going to ultimately do this for the good of getting yourself back in the zone of being your own most ultimate self. What that can feel like is this like, wow, this is kind of cool. This is like the new starts and new beginnings for that part of my life. Oh, the Terra Lumination 11th house, new moon Scorpio thing. Okay, you can become the guide. You can become the guide and be guided. And it's like Terra Lumination has a song called I Am Guided, I Am Protected. And so you can feel that. But what I'm sensing here is that you can put yourself back in to being that leader type person by going through this bizarre kind of Terra Lumination style rehab. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you're like 16 or 17 or 18-year-olds at college, or young newlyweds, or married for 20 years, or you're a business mogul, or whatever it is. I see like prospects and momentum here where you can see above and beyond the three-dimensional, rock solid Capricorn realities of life and see that there's a whole other thing going on out there for you. You are guided, you are protected, and in so doing, once you get back into the Capricorn energy, you become the guide and the protector again. Old school, classic, leader Capricorn style, and you leave all this behind. All right. Thank you so much, Capricorn. I went on a bit long there, but that's just what came out. I see it like a movie. All right. Thank you so much. All the best. Bye bye.